Dr. Marcus Reed had spent 3 years cataloging the archaeological remains scattered across the Outer Rim colonies, but nothing had prepared him for what he found beneath the crystalline formations of Kepler-4b, his ground-penetrating radar, had detected metallic structures far too recent to be ancient ruins, buried just beneath the planet's rust-colored surface. The excavation revealed a nightmare hidden in plain sight. What appeared to be a legitimate archaeological site was actually a sophisticated containment facility, its corridors lined with empty detention cells designed for humanoid beings. Emergency lighting still flickered in some sections, suggesting the facility had been abandoned recently and hastily. Marcus moved carefully through the sterile hallways, his scanner detecting residual life signs deeper within the complex. The architecture was clearly human-made, but modified with alien technology he didn't recognize. Restraint systems, medical equipment, and monitoring devices filled room after room, painting a horrific picture of systematic imprisonment and experimentation. In the facility's deepest level, Marcus discovered a single occupied cell. The being inside was barely conscious, her translucent blue skin marked with injection sites and monitoring patches. She appeared humanoid but distinctly alien, with elongated limbs and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold depths of intelligence and pain. Her breathing was shallow, and strange patterns of bioluminescence flickered weakly across her skin. According to his scanner, she was dying. Whatever had been done to her in this place had pushed her biology to its limits. Marcus knew he should contact the colonial authorities immediately, follow proper protocols for the discovery of alien life. But something in her eyes stopped him. There was a consciousness there, a person trapped in suffering, not a specimen. To be catalogued, the ethical guidelines of his profession warred with his conscience as he stared at the dying being. Every regulation demanded he report his findings through proper channels, but Marcus had spent enough time in the outer colonies to know how those channels worked. This being would disappear into another facility, become another number in someone's classified research project. He made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Working carefully, Marcus disabled the containment field and freed the alien from her restraints. She was lighter than he expected, her body temperature noticeably lower than human normal. As he lifted her, she stirred slightly. Marcus felt something brush against his mind, a gentle presence that conveyed gratitude without words. The journey back to his research station took 4 hours across the barren landscape. Marcus had converted his emergency medical bay into a makeshift treatment facility, using everything he knew about xenobiology to stabilize her condition. Her vital signs were unlike anything in his databases, but he could see that whatever toxins had been pumped into her system were slowly clearing. As consciousness returned to her, Marcus noticed that her bioluminescent patterns were growing stronger, shifting through colors he had no names for. She watched him with those deep, intelligent eyes, and he felt that strange mental touch against stronger now, carrying complex emotions of confusion, hope, and something else he couldn't identify. When she finally spoke, it was in a melodic language that his universal translator struggled to interpret. But her meaning came through clearly enough, carried by that peculiar mental connection that seemed to grow stronger with each passing hour. She called herself Zara. She would not leave his side. The first week of Zara's recovery revealed the true extent of her species' remarkable abilities. Her people, the Nethians, possessed a form of telepathic empathy that allowed them to form deep emotional connections with other sentient beings. What Marcus had initially mistaken for gratitude was actually something far more profound, a psychic bond that grew stronger each day. Zara's translator had been damaged during her captivity, forcing them to communicate through a combination of gestures, simple words, and the increasingly clear telepathic impressions she projected. Marcus discovered that she could sense his emotions as clearly as if they were her own. When he felt frustrated with a difficult repair, her skin would dim with sympathetic concern. When he laughed at something on his entertainment feeds, soft, golden ripples would dance across her features. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Marcus's research partner stationed 3 sectors away, grew concerned during their weekly communication sessions. "You sound different, Marcus," she observed over the quantum comlink. more settled somehow. Are you sure you're handling the isolation well? Marcus glanced at Zara, who was tending to the small garden she had started near the station's main window. Her presence filled spaces in his life he hadn't realized were empty. The chronic loneliness that had plagued him during years of solitary research had simply evaporated. I'm fine, Elena. Better than fine, actually. Through their growing connection, Marcus learned fragments of Zara's story. Her homeworld was a place of floating continents and crystal cities, where her people lived in harmony with both technology and nature. The traffickers had come during a ceremony of unity, when the planet's defenses were lowered in a gesture of trust toward visiting traders. Hundreds of her people had been taken, scattered across illegal facilities throughout human space. Zara's healing abilities were returning as her strength improved. She could accelerate plant growth with a touch. Now, small, injured creatures began appearing at their station, somehow knowing she could help them. A wounded bird with a broken wing recovered in hours under her care. Desert plants that should have died in the harsh environment flourished in her presence, but it was her effect on Marcus that was most profound. The constant stress lines around his eyes had smoothed away. His chronic insomnia, a plague for years, had completely disappeared. He slept peacefully each night with Zara resting nearby, her gentle mental presence acting like a soothing lullaby. For his restless thoughts, the telepathic bond they shared wasn't one-sided. Marcus found he could project his own emotions back to her, offering comfort when nightmares of her captivity surfaced. His memories of Earth's forests and oceans seemed to bring her joy, her skin brightening with cascades of blue and green light as she experienced his homeworld through their connection. This isn't normal, Marcus confided to his personal log one evening, watching Zara create intricate light patterns on her skin while she slept. The attachment she's showing, it goes beyond gratitude or even friendship. It's like she's bonded. To me, on some fundamental level, he researched everything he could find about Nethian psychology, but most records had been classified or destroyed. What little information existed suggested that her species formed lifelong pair bonds, but only with their own kind. The fact that she had bonded with him was unprecedented. As days turned into weeks, Marcus began to understand the true depth of Zara's attachment. She refused to be more than a few meters away from him. When he worked late into the night, she would sit quietly nearby, her soft luminescence providing gentle illumination. She learned his routines, anticipated his needs, and seemed genuinely distressed whenever he showed signs of discomfort or worry. The realization both warmed and concerned him. Zara wasn't just grateful, she had imprinted on him in a way that might be irreversible. Their bond was beautiful and profound, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that it might also be a prison for them both. 3 months into Zara's recovery, her peaceful existence shattered when director at Hawthorne's investigation teams finally traced the missing biological asset to Marcus's sector. Captain Torres, a ruthless security chief with a reputation for never losing a target, had been personally assigned to recover what the colonial government considered valuable property. Zara sensed the approaching danger long before Marcus's sensors detected anything. Her skin had turned a deep, worried purple, and she pressed close to him with unusual urgency. Through their telepathic link, Marcus felt her terror not just of capture, but of being separated from him.
Ow.
The bond they shared made the thought of isolation unbearable for her. "They're coming," she whispered, her translator finally repaired enough for clear communication. "Many minds, all focused on taking me away from you. I can feel their intentions from kilometers away." Marcus activated his station's emergency protocols, erasing sensitive data and preparing for immediate evacuation. But even as he worked, he could sense Zara's desperation through their connection. She wasn't just afraid of being recaptured, she was terrified that losing him would destroy something essential within her. The first security shuttle appeared on the horizon at dawn, followed by 2 more. Captain Torres had brought a full squad, expecting resistance. Marcus and Zara fled through the station's emergency exit, carrying only essential supplies into the harsh wilderness beyond. Their escape led them through treacherous canyon systems, where Marcus's archaeological training proved invaluable. He knew hidden caves and forgotten paths that wouldn't show up on standard maps. But Zara's telepathic abilities gave them their real advantage. She could sense the search teams, locations, and intentions from impossible distances. "They're spreading out," she reported as they sheltered in a narrow ravine. The leader, Torres, "He's angry that we escaped. He sees me as an object to be recovered, not a person." Her skin rippled with disgust at the mental contact with the captain's thoughts as they moved deeper into the wilderness. Zara's empathic senses revealed something remarkable. They weren't the only fugitives in this desolate region. Her abilities detected other minds, alien minds, hidden in caves and underground chambers throughout the area. Following her guidance, Marcus and Zara discovered an entire network of refugee camps. Beings from dozens of worlds had escaped from various trafficking facilities and found sanctuary in this remote region. They had created a hidden society, helping each other survive while staying invisible to colonial authorities. Elder Keth, a wise creature whose species naturally lived for centuries, greeted them at the largest camp. His ancient eyes held both sadness and determination as he welcomed the newest fugitives. "We are all refugees here," he said through a translation. "Device, some have been hiding for years, others just arrived. But we protect each other." Zara's unique abilities made her invaluable to the refugee community. Her telepathic range was extraordinary, and she could relay messages between camps separated by vast distances. She became a living communication network, coordinating supply, runs, and warning of approaching danger. But her bond with Marcus never wavered. Even while helping organize the resistance, she remained constantly aware of his location and emotional state. When he worked late planning their next moves, she would appear beside him with food or simply sit nearby, her presence calming his stressed mind. Juno, a former colonial engineer who had joined the refugees after witnessing trafficking operations, firsthand noticed their unique relationship. "I've never seen a Nethian bond with a human before," she observed. "Her people usually only form such connections with their own species, and only once in their lifetime." Marcus felt both honored and burdened by Zara's unwavering attachment. Their connection had become the foundation of both their lives, but he wondered if it was truly healthy for either of them as they planned their next move against the trafficking network. He couldn't shake the feeling that Zara's bond with him was both their greatest strength and their most dangerous vulnerability. The refugee camps had evolved into something far more organized than Marcus initially realized. Under Elder Keth's guidance, they had built a sophisticated intelligence network that spanned multiple sectors, gathering evidence of the trafficking operations that had torn them from their homeworlds. Zara's telepathic abilities proved crucial to their operations. She could maintain simultaneous mental connections with agents scattered across dozens of worlds, creating an instantaneous communication network that conventional technology couldn't detect or intercept. Her bond with Marcus had taught her to extend her empathic range beyond what her species typically achieved. The trafficking isn't random, Marcus discovered as he analyzed patterns in their collected data. His archaeological training had given him skills in recognizing systematic behavior, and the evidence painted a horrifying picture. They're targeting specific species with useful abilities: healers, telepaths, beings with enhanced physical capabilities. Organized harvesting. Juno had been working tirelessly to map the network's structure. Her engineering background helped her trace the flow of resources and personnel through seemingly legitimate corporate entities. "Director Hawthorne isn't just covering this up," she reported during a clandestine meeting. "She's actively profiting from it. Her administration received substantial payments for looking the other way." The refugee camps buzzed with activity as they prepared for their most ambitious operation yet. Using Marcus's knowledge of colonial communication systems and Zara's telepathic coordination, they planned to broadcast evidence simultaneously across every major network in human space. It would be impossible to suppress or deny. Zara's role in the operation required her to maintain telepathic contact with resistant cells across multiple star systems, while simultaneously coordinating the timing of data releases. The mental strain would be enormous. but she was determined to help free others who had suffered as she had. Marcus watched her prepare for the mission with growing concern. The deep purple coloration of her skin indicated she was pushing her abilities beyond safe limits. Through their bond, he could feel the psychic pressure building in her mind. As she established connections across impossible distances, "You don't have to do this," he told her privately. "We can find another way." Zara's response came through their telepathic link, warm with affection, but absolute in its determination. "My people were taken because we trusted to isolate. Now I can use what makes us vulnerable or empathic connections to fight back." Besides, her skin rippled with gentle gold. "I could never abandon others to the fate I escaped. You taught me that some risks are worth taking." Elder Keth had positioned himself at the operations center, centuries of experience making him the natural coordinator for such a complex undertaking. Beings from dozens of species worked together, each contributing their unique abilities to the cause. Healers prepared to treat any casualties, while physically powerful species stood ready to defend their camps if the operation triggered. Immediate retaliation. The night before the broadcast, Marcus couldn't sleep. His mind raced with all the things that could go wrong, all the ways their desperate gambit might fail. Zara settled beside him, her gentle luminescence filling their shelter with soft light. "I can feel your worry," she said softly, her hand finding his. "But also your hope. Your determination to do what's right, even when it's dangerous. That's why my soul recognized you as worthy of bonding. My people can sense the true nature of others, and your heart is pure." Marcus squeezed her hand, drawing comfort from their connection. Tomorrow, they would either expose one of the largest criminal conspiracies in human history, or die trying. But whatever happened, they would face it together. As dawn approached, resistance cells across human space prepared to upload terabytes of evidence to every available network. Zara closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, touching the consciousness of allies scattered across the galaxy, coordinating their final strike against the darkness that had consumed so many lives. The revolution was about to begin. At precisely 0800 Standard Time across 17 different star systems, the evidence began flooding every communication network in human space. News feeds, government channels, corporate broadcasts, and personal communication devices all simultaneously displayed the same devastating information. Director Hawthorne's conspiracy, years in the making, was exposed in its entirety within minutes. Zara maintained her telepathic coordination from the main refugee camp, her skin blazing with intense patterns of light as she pushed her abilities to their absolute limits. Through her mental network, she guided the upload sequences and ensured that backup systems activated whenever authorities tried to block the transmissions. Marcus monitored the galactic response from his jury-rigged communication array, watching as colony after colony demanded immediate investigations into their own administrations. News correspondent Liu Wei, broadcasting from the core worlds, called it the largest revelation of systematic oppression in human colonial history. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Financial records showed payments flowing from trafficking organizations directly into colonial administration accounts. Security footage revealed Director Hawthorne personally overseeing the transfer of alien beings to illegal facilities. Its most damning of all were the testimonies from hundreds of survivors, their stories corroborated by medical records and facility documentation. Within hours, Director Hawthorne's own security forces began refusing orders. Captain Torres, faced with overwhelming evidence of the crimes he had been enforcing, ordered his teams to stand down. Many of the soldiers had families who had seen the broadcasts, and they could no longer justify supporting a system built on slavery and torture. Elder Keth's wisdom proved invaluable during the chaotic aftermath. He had anticipated that their victory would create a power vacuum that could lead to violence if not carefully managed. The refugee camps quickly transformed into coordination centers for the peaceful transition to new leadership across multiple worlds. Zara's telepathic abilities made her essential to the process. She could sense the intentions of approaching negotiators, identify which officials were genuinely committed to reform versus those seeking to preserve the corrupt system. Her empathic insights helped the resistance negotiate from a position of strength while avoiding unnecessary bloodshed. Director Hawthorne's arrest came within a week of the broadcasts. She was charged with crimes against sentient beings, a new legal category that the scandal had forced into existence. The trials that followed established unprecedented protections for alien refugees and created legal frameworks for interspecies cooperation. Marcus and Zara were offered positions leading the new interspecies cultural exchange program, with headquarters on a neutral space station designed to accommodate beings from multiple worlds. Their unique bond, once a source of concern, had become a symbol of the cooperation possible between species. The space station buzzed with activity as refugees from across the galaxy arrived seeking assistance or simply offering their stories. For the historical record, Zara had established a network of telepathic counselors who helped trafficking survivors overcome their trauma, while Marcus used his archaeological expertise to locate and shut down remaining illegal facilities. But even as their professional success grew, Marcus noticed that Zara's attachment to him remained as absolute as ever. She still slept nearby every night, still monitored his emotional state constantly, still became anxious if separated from him for more than brief periods. Their bond had saved countless lives and changed galactic politics, but it remained intensely personal and unbreakable. "Does it ever concern you?" Juno asked during one of her visits to their station. "The way she's so completely devoted to you?" Marcus watched Zara across the room, her skin glowing with contentment as she worked with a group of newly arrived refugees. Through their mental connection, he could feel her constant awareness of his presence, her joy in their shared purpose, her absolute certainty that their bond was the foundation of her existence. "At first, yes," he admitted. "But I've come to understand that this is how her species loves completely, eternally, without reservation. She chose me, and that choice defined both our destinies. I'm honored to be worthy of such devotion." As night fell over their station, Marcus and Zara stood together watching ships arrive and depart, carrying refugees to new homes and new hopes. The galaxy was healing from the wounds of systematic oppression, and their love had become proof that different species could not only coexist, but thrive together. Zara's hand found his, her skin pulsing with the deep violet light that her people associated with eternal commitment. Through their bond, Marcus felt her complete happiness, her certainty that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead as one unified consciousness in two bodies. The alien who had refused to let him go had become the anchor of his soul, and together they had helped liberate a galaxy.